Is this evidence of what Deutsche Bank is calling a major recession heading for the US? Economic growth here contracted by 1.4% in the first 3 months of this year. But President Joe Biden was bullish about the economic climate.
I'm not concerned about a recession. Consumer spending and business investment and residential investment increased at significant rates, both for leisure as well as hard products, number one. Number two, unemployment is the lowest rate since 1970.
Isolated data can sometimes be unreliable for gauging wider economic trends. For example, some economists say that this contraction is largely down to a surge of imports into the US at the start of the year, and that affects the way that gross domestic product is calculated. So this could just be a blip, especially when you consider that the economy grew by nearly 7% at the end of last year. And consider that with low unemployment and wages rising and employers struggling to fill millions of vacancies, for many the economy is in good health. And yet global growth forecasts for this year have been slashed dramatically, and some economists think there's a 40% probability of a recession by next year. Their pessimism driven by the Ukraine conflict, compounding a supply chain crisis that's ramping up the cost of everything from food to fuel. And the US central bank is now poised to raise its benchmark interest rate aggressively this year to try to cool that inflation without triggering the R word.
Our goal is to get demand, use our tools to get demand and supply back in sync so that inflation moves down, and do so without a slowdown that amounts to a recession.
The Federal Reserve is likely to use those tools next month, when it's widely expected to raise that rate by as much as 0.5%. Owen Fairclough, CGTN, Washington.